Hello and welcome to my Let's Play Space Engineers. I am currently playing version 1.37.14, which was released on the 4th of July. I pay a lot of attention to the version here because Space Engineers, for an early access game, which it is an early access game currently available on Steam for, I believe, $20, has just a prolific rate of patches coming out. So many early access games just sort of like drag their feet and slowly release patches and never ever quite feel done. I don't know how many early access games just never seem to really finish. This is not the case for Space Engineers. You can see many new features right here in the patch notes, which you can view right in the launching screen. Oh my god, why don't more games do this? And so we see it was the 3rd of July, written a little funny. Some Europeans, I guess, developing Space Engineers. And a lot of cool new features. They added factions to the game for better multiplayer play and a whole bunch of other things around that, like block ownership and taking over hostile objects and copying paste. Has improvements. You can loot dead engineers. All these really cool things added. And it's not like that was months of development. Just May 26th, they implemented a whole bunch of cool stuff to finish out the conveyor system, added passenger seats, fixed a lot of physics things. May 19th, again, more features. Just look at how many patches were released just in the month of, I'm sorry, I keep saying May, June. Just in the month of June, there was like 5 patches released that all had new features, in addition to bug fixes. So, just a prolific rate of patches that also haven't really introduced a lot of instability to that scene. So, really important note, I want to touch on that before I get into it. I've just been so impressed with Space Engineers' development progress. I really hope they keep that up. But let's take a quick look at some of the options for the game. I'm going to be playing in single block building mode. To be honest, I haven't even played with the other modes. This is a very traditional, how you would put stuff down in Minecraft sort of thing. Everything else is pretty much default. The only thing I would consider would be, well, actually it's not default. I did turn off these show control hints. They're kind of obnoxious, puts a lot of text on the screen. So unless you're a very new player, you're probably going to want to turn that off. But when you are new, leaving it on isn't a bad idea. I would like to turn off head bob. The head bob is a little more than I think it should be, but it's important for telling the difference of when you're using your jetpack and when you're running around with just normal gravity being used. So yeah, I'm going to leave it head bob on just for that purpose. Video, they need to add a few more options. Render quality, you've only got 3 options, normal, high, and extreme. In big scenes, the frame rate can start to drop even on a high-end system, so I'm going to keep that on to high. I slightly increased my field of view, just personal preference based on my head's distance to my monitor. This is where I'm a little more comfortable. Audio, basically just what you expect, sound and music. Controls, every key is rebindable. It's a PC game. Every PC game should have this. Kills me when that isn't an option. The only non-native thing I have is the thumb button on my mouse. I have bound for the use interact. T can be a little awkward. Holding down W and T for a sustained period of time is just awkward, unless you have very, very large hands or a very, very small keyboard. It's just a weird key combination. So I added that to my mouse button 1, and you'll see why when I go and do some mining, why that can be important. There is Steam Workshop support. I've downloaded a few things. It's cool. You can see other people's creations. You can join multiplayer worlds, and there are some... This takes a little while to populate, but there are a decent number of servers out there. If you go on the forums, it'd be pretty easy to find some people to play with. There are dedicated servers available now. That's a rather new addition to the game. You can play over a LAN. You can view the different games on the different servers. So good multiplayer support, and that's where a lot of the development over the last month, I'd say, has been mostly dedicated to further fleshing out multiplayer support. Of course, loading a world, or you can start a new world. The quick start puts you into creative mode with a lot of stuff pre-built. We're not going to be doing that. We're going to be playing in survival mode, so we need to do a custom world. The custom worlds have a few different starts to choose from. Easy starts, you have stations and stuff already running, a lot of ships to choose from. Lone Survivor puts you on a platform. Crashed Red Ship puts you on a crashed red ship. Both of these are a little more traditional Survivor. You really don't have a whole lot to start out with in either of these. 2 platforms meant for multiplayer competitive play. Asteroids, you start with just a recovery ship, so it's a really barren start. And then an empty world, which is meant for creative. We're going to be doing Lone Survivor, so we're going to start out on a usually not very good asteroid surrounded by a platform with just some basic stuff on it. We are going to be in survival. We can give our game a name. I'm going to go ahead and put it into private mode with a max of 4 players. For now, I am going to be playing essentially single player, but I might invite some people into the game later on. So for now, though, we'll set it to private. And the environment hostility, I'm going to leave on safe. Normally, I would play on like normal, which means periodic meteor strikes come in. In normal, it's usually about 4 meteors will just crash into things, which basically forces you to build in the safe side of asteroids, because the meteors will always come from the same direction, so you just build on the other side. It can slow things down a little bit, so for a Let's Play to keep things going a little faster, I'm going to put it on to safe. You can give your game a description. Like I said, we're going to be playing in survival mode. Again, to make things a little faster, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bump up my inventory and my refinery to ×3. Bumping up my inventory is going to allow my early mining to go a lot faster. And bumping up the refinery speed will allow me to refine the things that I'm mining a lot faster. Refineries take a lot of resources to build, so building a lot of refineries early isn't practical. And not putting this onto ×3 can make that a very slow process where you're basically just standing around waiting for ore to refine. So to keep the pace a little faster, we'll put those on ×3. Max objects, 256 is fine for a single player. You can move it up, but in a larger world, it will start to have a performance impact. Again, for a single player, I'm just going to do 4 large asteroids. That's plenty of resources and space for me to move around in. I'm going to limit the world size to 50k. Again, I just don't need more space than that. I probably won't ever venture more than 25 kilometers in any direction. So this will help, again, with performance. I'm going to turn off auto-healing. That means in order to heal, I have to go using medical terminal. I start with the medical terminal, so that's not too big of a deal. I'm going to turn off autosave. I would love to keep on autosave. Unfortunately, every time it saves, it causes me at least to lag up really hard for like 3 seconds almost. My whole game will freeze, which happening every 5 minutes is actually really noticeable and really annoying. The last time I played with it, it had gotten better, but for now, I've just gotten in the habit of playing without autosave in Space Engineers. I have weapons enabled. Trash auto removal I like to keep off. It's a newer feature. I'm afraid it's buggy and going to remove things I don't want it removing. We will delete the respawn ship, which means if we die, the ship that we respawn in will disappear once we log out. We're going to show player names, although it doesn't matter. Thruster damage is on, which means that thrusters have to be positioned a little more carefully and not like thrust onto the ship that they're propelling or near something else. They can damage everything around them. Cargo ships are going to be on. Cargo ships are random ships that just sort of show up in your world periodically and can add a little fun and excitement. We are not going to have spectator on, and we are not going to reset ownership. I don't know why that would be an ownership is a very new thing, so I haven't actually seen this option yet. It's the first time I'm creating a world on this patch. I'm guessing this is more if you go into load a game, this option would be more important. So those are all of our options for our game, so let's go ahead and load it in. I do love a lot of the loading screens. I don't know if you noticed it, but the background when I was choosing settings and stuff, I have some really cool background imagery and stuff. Alright, I'm going to take a second to sort of go over some of the controls for anybody who's new to Space Engineers and give you an idea. So right now I've got gravity, so I'm running around, and you can tell that I'm running because I have head bob. You can see my head bobbing up and down, and actually I think this is a little less head bob than it was before. This feels fine. So yeah, I'm running around WASD, mouse to look, just like any first-person game you've ever played. I can go into third person by pushing V. And actually I'm going to probably stay for now in third person as I demonstrate the controls. Most of the game I will be playing in first person though. But what I can do is I can turn on my jetpack with the X key. At this point, gravity is no longer affecting me. If I push W, ASD, I still strafe, move forward and back, but I can also push the spacebar to move up, C to move down, and if I want to, I can just sort of float in space. I can also use Q and E to do rotational movements, which can be a little disorienting. If I end up rotated, what I also can do, though, is turn my jetpack off, and I will instantly go upright and land if I'm in an area that has gravity like this one. Yeah, so that's the basics of movement. The other important thing is inertial dampeners. So right now I have inertial dampeners on. That means if I push W, I start accelerating. As soon as I let go, I start decelerating. That if I'm not actively trying to move in a direction, my suit will kick in and try to stop that movement. So like if I'm strafing left and forward and I just start moving forward, oops, that's a bad example, because I'm going to slam into a rock. So if I'm moving forward and left and I let go of left, I'll now stop my left movement because I'm not trying to move left or right. My suit will try to remove that movement, but it'll keep accelerating me forward because I'm still trying to go forward. I hope that makes sense. Essentially, it sort of acts like wind resistance in all directions, even though we're in a vacuum. We can turn that off, though. We can push Z. I don't know why I had trouble finding that one on the keyboard. I can push Z, and now you can see I'm just floating. I'm not using my jetpack in any direction, and I'll just float forever in this direction, because this is the direction I was last traveling in. This is true Newtonian physics, so an object in motion tends to stay in motion. I could manually correct that and start flying in a different direction, but it can actually be hard to control and move in a precise direction with Newtonian physics, but it's very energy efficient. But right now my suit is burning almost no energy in order to move in whatever direction I want to go. So that's when the inertial dampeners being off can be very effective. Or if you want to match the speed of an object. So if I'm in space and trying to match the speed of a another ship, that can be an effective way to do it. For the time being, though, I'm going to go up to my platform over here and push, or my command platform, or the command station for my platform, push the T key, and that's going to give me control over the platform. So I can now press K, and I've got a whole lot of things I can control on here. The one I care about is my gravity generator. Actually, let me say why I'm doing this. If you look in the bottom right, we have information about the current ship or platform I'm controlling. In this case, we see that my fuel time is listed as 39 minutes. The main thing chewing up the fuel right now is our gravity generator. So what we're going to do is go into here. We're going to go to our gravity generator. We can change the size of the field. We're going to leave that for the time being. But what we are going to do is lower gravity. So it's not going to be as strong of a gravity field. We're going to put it down to 0.16. So we still have a little bit of gravity, and we see that our fuel time is now up to 4 hours, which is much more desirable. You can see the difference because when I jump, I actually can't jump anymore. When gravity is too low, you actually do lose that ability. But you'll see if I float up really high, wow, I don't have my inertial dampeners on. There we go. If I push X, I start falling very, very slowly. That I would have fallen much quicker if that was normal gravity, which also means I can fall from a higher height without taking damage, which is kind of nice. Alright, so the other things that we start with are an assembler and a refinery. So we have to mine ore, put it in the refinery, that creates ingots. Because they're connected right here, this assembler would be able to automatically feed in those ingots and produce items. If we come into here, we can see these. So here is our refinery where we would put the ore. This is where the ingots will come out. We could then take these ingots and put them into the assembler. And finally, items produced by the assembler will come out here. We also have a reactor, which has its own inventory, but we'll talk about that later. So then I could go into construction tab and build any of these items. These are the things you build in the assembler, which are the base components for things you build in the world. So for instance, there are thruster components, which would go into thrusters in addition to needing some, I think it's like steel plates and small steel tubes and something else. So yeah, that's the basic of how the economics, I guess, work in Space Engineers. Here's our reactor. It runs off of uranium ingots. It's the only type of ingot that isn't used in the assembler. Instead, it's purely used inside the reactor, I believe. I think that's true. Yeah, so we will have to refine some uranium to get more uranium ingots. It is so important to never completely run out of uranium. If we run out of uranium, the reactor shuts down. If the reactor shuts down, then the refinery can't run, which means we can't create more uranium ingots, and our station is effectively dead up until the point when we eventually die, because we won't be able to recharge our suit. I can recharge my suit by coming up here and holding the T key, and that puts my energy in the bottom left back up to 100%. Or if I'm in command of a ship or station like this, my suit will recharge. Yes, I think that's it. That's the station. So yeah, there's the medical terminal. Oh, and then this is the actual gravity generator, and these are 4 landing gear that are upside down, which do have some, oops, that was unintentional, do have some functionality and usefulness as a place to like lock and hold ships that you're working on, for instance. So let's start out by doing some mining. I don't necessarily... What I want to build is a small storage container. Right now I have no storage containers anywhere on my station, so as I'm refining and building things, I'll have nowhere to put them, and my assembler and refinery will fill up very quickly, so that's a problem. But we're going to need a bunch of different things in order to build our storage container. So let's push G. That brings up our toolbar configuration and building block chooser, and we're going to move our welder, our grinder, and our hand drill into our toolbar. I can press 3 and take out my hand drill, push V, go back into first person mode. And now that I have a hand drill out, as I get near different ores at the asteroid, I can see where they are. I can see that there's silver, there's iron, and what we're going to be looking for is silicon. One of the things that we don't have anywhere on our station is any type of displays, and a display is necessary. Oh, and there is a mining carriage. The mining carriage is one of those cargo ships that passes through, and eventually we'll go interact with those. But we need silicon to build displays. We don't have any other displays or any source of building displays on our platform currently, and that is a necessary component for our storage container. And unfortunately, this asteroid usually sucks. There's some magnesium, lots of iron. Iron is a very common ore, and it's one you do need to mine a lot of. There's some gold. I actually think I am going to need some gold. Trying to see exactly where the best way to access this gold is. Ooh. Where'd you go, gold? Alright, looks like this will be our best spot to enter and to get the gold. So what we're doing now is just drilling the rock, and that doesn't actually put anything into our inventory. All it does is create these rocks that we could pick up. Unfortunately, these rocks are just that. They're just stone. And we don't want stone. We can get stone from anywhere on this asteroid, and we're going to end up accidentally picking up plenty of stone. So we're not going to intentionally gather any of this up and fill up our rather limited inventory. So instead, we'll just drill through and make a hole. The gold is very noticeable. So all the different ores within the rock are, whoop, there we go, colored based on what they are. And gold is one of the easiest to differentiate because it's a bright gold color. Go figure. So we'll just go ahead, move our mouse in a circle to make sure that the hole that we're making is big enough to continue fitting us. And I'm actually holding down the use key right now, which is that mouse button, so that I'm not having to hold down the T key. And that's going to pick up some of this gold as I just move around. But if we look back, if I can look back, there we go. You can see there's a bunch of gold just piling up on the ground here. Luckily, we are still in the gravity well of our station. Alright, so that got us some gold, and we can always come back later for more. The two things that I really need, though, are going to be uranium and silicon, and I'm not seeing them on this asteroid. It doesn't actually surprise me. This asteroid that you start next to frequently will only have a few ores on it, and if you do get something like uranium, you just got really lucky. Luckily, there are other asteroids nearby. So what we're going to do is put the gold that we collected inside of our refinery. We're going to drop the stone we collected because we don't want it taking up space in our inventory. And now we're going to go check our fuel supply and see how much time we got with our refinery running. 32 minutes. It's a little low. I'm a little bit worried about that. That should be enough time, though, for us to go to an asteroid and back, and hopefully we'll have uranium with us when we get back. Alright, so we turn our jetpack on, and we start heading towards this asteroid. Luckily, the 4 asteroids are all likely to be pretty close to each other. Wow, and I like this one. I love the asteroids, because these are procedurally generated. These will be different every time you spawn in. This map didn't pre-have this asteroid. I didn't know this would be here. But I love the ones with these hollow holes in them. because they make it very, very easy to see a lot of surface area. Wow, all of this black right here is uranium, which is massive. Alright, so yeah, we're in luck. We're going to have no problems getting plenty of uranium. Unfortunately, there's no gravity over here, so collecting up the rocks is going to be a little more of a challenge. As I knock them away like this, instead of just falling to the ground and waiting for me to pick them up, the ones that I don't get initially will just sort of float off. And you can see, like, that's uranium, and it's just floating away, and I'm never going to get it, which is why I'm going to dig a tunnel. If I dig a tunnel, it means a lot of the rocks will just get trapped sort of floating around inside of the tunnel, so it's preferable to just, say, surface mining. Oh, wow. Oh, I see what happened. Alright, so that's not the best spot to mine. Let's try and go up here. So my goal is going to be to completely fill my inventory here with uranium. After I do fill my inventory with uranium, I will head back, and I will start this refining. I'll dump all of it into the refinery, and then I will come back for some silicon. So this is me sort of going back now and collecting up some of these loose floating rocks. One of my first priorities after I do build my storage container is going to be to build a mining ship. So this hand mining using a hand drill thing is not how you're going to get all of the ore in the game. That would be a long, painful process. We can see my inventory is about a third of the way full. So yeah, a mining ship is definitely going to be a top priority, which really actually won't take too long. To mine all of the resources necessary won't be too bad, especially because I'm going to be deconstructing some of my platform just to very quickly get like the steel plates and such that I'll need, which means I won't have to bother mining iron, which could be one of the most time-consuming things to mine just because of the quantity necessary. Oh, I just realized I didn't have my suit's light on, which does make it a little bit harder to navigate around. Something else I do have to pay attention to is down in that left-hand corner is my suit's energy. If that hits 0, you start taking health damage, and you'll die in, say, about 10 to 15 seconds. And during those 10 to 15 seconds, you won't have your jetpack. So if you're not at the station with the gravity generators on, it's basically guaranteed death. So I have to be careful to make sure I don't let my power get too low, that once it starts hitting 20% and I start getting warnings, I'm going to want to start heading back towards my platform to recharge. Alright, so we're about 2/3 of the way full in our inventory. This is definitely more uranium than I need, but it's one of those as long as I'm here sort of things, I might as well fill up. Alright, that should be enough. At least I expect this will fill me up, I bet. The rocks, and this is something I think is pretty cool that they bothered with this detail, do scale based on how much is sort of in them. So a larger rock actually is more uranium, and so if I were to drop a large chunk of uranium right now from my inventory, the size of the rock that would appear would be really large. So just a nice attention to detail sort of thing. Alright, this should be everything. We are almost full, right? Okay, yeah, I'm essentially full. And I guess I can go and like get this one and this should fill me up. Yep. Or one more. Yep, now it's full. Alright, so my inventory is full of uranium. Ore. And now we get to go to our refinery to turn it into uranium ingots, and I'm coming in fast. If you do slam into something, at high speed, even if it's not because of gravity, which is your jetpack, you will take damage. So you want to be careful with that. All right, so we go up to our refinery, we push K, and we drag the uranium ore into that slot, and now it starts turning the uranium ore into uranium ingots. Now we don't have to worry about running out of uranium. Even if the reactor did run out and everything powers down, we can still access the refinery and pull out finished ingots. So I would still be able to do that, come over to my reactor, and drag them in. So we now have 0.4 kilograms, which with our refinery running, because the refinery does chew up a lot of power, is 36 minutes. Alright, so that one little bit that got refined was about the same amount of fuel that was burned as I went off to go mining. And we're going to have a lot more than that come out of here. See, I'm already got another 0.2 kilograms and a lot of ore to go. I want to make sure that there's enough uranium in here that the refining process doesn't stop, though. Because, like I said, the refinery, it takes a while. I mean, look at how long and how slowly that's going down for just that little bit of uranium ore that I mined. And there are other things like platinum, which refine even slower. They take a very long time to refine. In the meantime, I'm going to deconstruct just a little bit of this platform. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out my grinder and I'm going to start grinding these armor blocks. And you can look in the bottom, or near the bottom right here. You can see that they're made of steel plates. And you can see as the health on the left deteriorates, it sort of allows me to pull out the steel plates from the block as it deconstructs. So I'm simultaneously damaging it and pulling out the steel plates. I'm really just I'm not going to build a lot onto this platform. My goal is to build a much larger mobile ship instead of having a platform. And so that's why I am deconstructing the platform here to sort of get some free materials. Then I'm going to push G, which pulls up my block chooser. I'm going to pick a small cargo container, drag it down into my toolbar, push the number 4 key. And then I'm going to attach my small cargo container onto my refinery right here. Oh, but I actually can't. I need interior plates. I thought I needed steel plates. So there's always a base material, which is going to be one of a few things. All things have like what I call a base material of either construction components, interior plates, or steel plates. And I have some steel plates, but in this case I need interior plates to build my storage container. Which I believe, yes, the steel catwalk has some interior plates in it. So we can come steal these interior plates. And no interior plates in the landing gear. Alright, so let's try this again. So we place our storage container. Alright, so now it's just placed. It pulled one interior plate out of my inventory, put the sort of structure here, and now we can actually start building it. So for that we pull out our welder and start holding it down, and it starts giving it health, and we'll pull any items from our inventory that are necessary to build it and put them into place. So in this case it grabbed out 16 of the necessary 20 steel tubes, which I happen to have in my inventory from grinding down those girders, put it in there and let me start building. But I still need more interior plates, I still need more construction components, I still need a lot of stuff that I don't have. And I can't assemble it because most of those things require iron, which I don't have any of. So what we can do instead is go to our assembler, drop these steel plates into the assembler's finished area, go to our production tab, go to disassembling, and we can start disassembling our steel plates. And that's going to turn them into iron ingots. The iron ingots we're going to be able to turn into construction components, steel plates, tubes, all the other things we're going to need for our small storage container. So while that runs and gives us our ingots that we need, we can go ahead and get more steel plates. Steel plates are you just need a lot of blocks when building ships. So just grinding these down is definitely going to be useful. Something else I can do is go recharge. On the bottom left you can see my suit's energy is going down very quickly when operating any sort of tools. So my suit's energy is all the way down to 25% now, so we can come over here and recharge at the medical station. I'm also going to use this time to teach a little movement trick. At least I consider it a little trick. It's something I do. When running, this is the speed I can run at. I can hold down shift and sprint, and this is my maximum speed. If you're going to travel a long distance over an area that has gravity and it's just a large flat area like this, you can turn your jetpack on, start moving really, really fast, and then right before you... Oh wow, that did not work well. My gravity's a little too low, so you need full gravity for this to really work. But what I can do is turn my jetpack off, and then as soon as my feet hit the ground, I'll stop instantly and prevent me from slamming into something. Fortunately, the gravity's got to be a little higher than where I have it for that to work effectively. Alright, so I still need more interior plate. So we come over to our assembler, push K, and we can see I now have iron ingots inside the assembler from our disassembly of steel plates. So I can go to the production tab, go back to the assembling option, and now I have the option to build several things. So let's build 30 interior plates. We can see that's going to require about 100 ingots, and I have 600 ingots, so we're good. I also know I needed at least a couple of small steel tubes. Let's see what else we're going to need. I'm going to need 2 more small steel tubes and 35 construction components. Construction components take a very long time to build and require a pretty good amount of iron ingots. So let's get the 2 more small steel tubes queued up. And then we can hold the control key to queue up 10 construction components at a time, or I could hold shift and do 100 at a time, but we don't need that many, so we'll right-click that to get rid of it. So I'm going to hold down control, 3 clicks to get that up to 30, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright, so we now have the interior plates and the small steel tubes that we need. And we can also see we have all of the iron that we're going to need for our construction components, so that's good. But we can also see how long those are going to take. So we go to inventory, drag our interior plates over, our small steel tubes, and one of our construction components. And now we can come over here and start building out our small cargo container further. Alright, so construction components are our current stoppage, but there are some other things we can go ahead and queue up. We need 2 motors, 2 computers, and a display. So, 2 motors, 2 computers, and a display. And it very quickly tells us all of the things we're going to need. We're going to need nickel ingots, cobalt, silicon wafers, and gold ingots. So there's a lot of stuff that we need to go mine. The gold, we should actually be fine. Because we previously refined gold ingots, we can just drag these up into the assembler, come back to the production tab, and we're good to go. We only need 0.4 and we've got 27, so more than enough for just that little bit of mining that we did. Like I said, we're going to need silicon. In addition to that, we're also going to need cobalt and nickel. So it's time to go back to our asteroid and do some more mining. But we will do that in our next episode. But we've sort of gotten started now. We've got our first construction project, which is a cargo container. We've got some of our ore starting to refine, a good amount starting to refine. We've got a bunch of uranium ingots that we've produced to keep our reactor running, which I'm actually going to go drop in now. And yeah, we've got our assembler running and building the components that we need. We've identified an amazing asteroid right above us there with that nice, beautiful hole in it that gets us access to all sorts of great ore. And we've started deconstructing the things that we don't actually need on our platform. So we're making good progress. We've got 2 hours of fuel, so we're not in any sort of hurry. And yeah, I'll be back next episode where I will continue the mining to finish the construction of the small cargo container. And then we will start building my first mining ship after that. So please stay tuned. If you enjoyed, please don't forget to hit the like button. If you want to make sure you don't miss the future episodes, hit the subscribe button. And leave your comments. Let me know, what do you think of Space Engineers? Are you a Space Engineers player? And is there something you'd like to see me do? Are you considering buying Space Engineers? And there's something you'd like to see me do? Please let me know below in the comment section, and I hope to see you next time.